We all make promises, right? But have you ever stopped to think about which of those promises the law can actually force you to keep? It all boils down to one fundamental question. Who is legally allowed to make a binding deal in the first place? Let's dive in.
To get us started, picture this classic scenario. A teenager, maybe a little too clever for their own good, lies about their age to get a loan. When it's time to pay up, they reveal the truth. Oops, I'm actually a minor. Is the lender just out of luck, or can they make the teen pay it back? This exact problem gets right to the heart of what we're talking about today.
To find the answer, we got to look at the legal rulebook. See, making a contract isn't just a casual agreement. The law has some pretty specific entry requirements for who's even allowed to play the game, and these rules decide everything.
The main ticket you need to get in is a legal concept called capacity to contract. Now, under Section 10 of the Indian Contract Act, for any agreement to be a real, valid contract, the people making it have to be competent. This is a huge first step, and it means not everyone who shakes on a deal can be legally held to it.
So what does competent actually mean? Well, Section 11 lays out a really straightforward three-part test. First, you have to be an adult. You've reached the age of majority. Second, you have to be of sound mind, meaning you get what you're signing and its consequences. And third, there can't be some other law out there that says you're not allowed to make contracts. It's a checklist, and you have to tick every single box.
Okay, so we've got the rules. Now let's see how this all works in a real-world fight. A landmark case from way back in the day took this very idea and turned it into an ironclad rule that lawyers still live by today.
The case is Mohori Bibe versus Dharmadas Kose, a game-changing decision from 1903. Seriously, if you want to understand how Indian law treats contracts made by minors, this case is ground zero. It's the absolute starting point.
So, here's the story. A minor named Dharmadas Kose puts up his property as collateral to borrow 20,000 rupees. He gets some of that money up front. But then, in a pretty sharp move, once he legally becomes an adult, he turns around and sues to have the whole mortgage canceled. The lender obviously fights back, saying, hey, wait a minute, if the mortgage is no good, then at least give us back the money you took.
So what did the highest court decide? Well, the verdict wasn't just a simple win or a loss. It was a massive statement, a ruling that would define this area of law for more than 100 years.
Now, to really get why their decision was so huge, we need to understand a critical difference. A voidable contract is basically a real contract, but one person has the power to hit the cancel button. A void agreement, on the other hand, well, it was never a contract to begin with. It's legally non-existent, a ghost. And a Privy Council's decision was absolute. The agreement with a minor, Dharmadas Kose, was totally void. Its legal value? A big fat zero. It was as if the contract never even existed. The mortgage was canceled, and, here's the kicker, Kose did not have to refund the money.
This single case didn't just settle one argument. It actually carved three powerful legal principles into stone, creating this bedrock of protection for minors when it comes to contracts.
So here they are, the big three. First, void ab initio. It's just a fancy Latin way of saying void from the beginning. The deal wasn't just broken, it was never really alive. Second, no ratification. This means a minor can't just turn 18 and say, okay, that old deal I made is good now. Nope, you got to make a whole new contract. And third, and this answers our question from the start, no estoppel. This means a minor can always use their age as a defense, even if they flat out lied about it to get the deal. The law's protection is absolute.
But, the law always has a few what-ifs. So what happens if a minor needs things that are essential for survival, like food or a place to live? Does this rule mean no one can ever help them out on credit?
Well, the law thought of that. Section 68 of the Contract Act gives us an answer. It says that if someone supplies a minor with necessaries, and we're talking about things that are genuinely essential for them, like education, food, or housing, then that person has a right to be paid back.
But here's where the law is really clever and protective. The reimbursement for these necessaries doesn't come from the minor's own pocket. You can't hold them personally liable. Instead, the supplier can only make a claim against the minor's property or their estate if they have one. This makes sure the minor gets what they need without being saddled with personal debt.
So, a case from 1903 might feel like it's from another world, but the rules from Mohori Bibe are just as important and are cited in courts today as they were over a century ago.
And that really brings us to the whole point of this area of law. It's designed to be a powerful shield, to protect young people who might not have the experience or judgment to handle complex financial deals from being taken advantage of.
If you take away just one thing from all this, let it be this powerful, simple statement.
A minor's agreement is absolutely void.
Which leaves us with a final, really interesting question for today. In our modern world, with teen entrepreneurs, social media influencers, and contracts you can sign with a single click, does this century-old rule of absolute protection still strike the right balance? Or is it maybe time to rethink where we draw the line? That's definitely something to think about.